Hello everybody, welcome to the Candyman Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I'm here to give you my review of Candyman. I'm sorry, growing up, especially with my aunt was just such a huge horror fan. Huge horror fan. Probably to this day is. I'm sure I haven't seen her in a while, but she probably is to this day still a massive horror fan. I mean massive horror fan. And one of the movies, sure enough, that always got looked at was Candyman. Was the I believe the original game came out in 1992. But like this character, like, you have to understand, like, I was going to make a review, and I'm probably still going to make a review of the 1992, I believe it was 1992, Candyman with Tony Todd. I think it's Tony Todd. It's Tony Todd. It's Tony Todd, right? With Tony Todd and his deep-ass voice. But, like, I was going to talk about that movie. Eventually, I'll talk about that movie. I'll talk about the movie. I'll probably make a horror classic about that old Candyman. But the movie itself, but like that movie itself was such an interesting thing, because first of all, black people, like, we don't really have like an iconic like horror character like who is black, what's the word I'm looking for? Who identifies as black. Like, we all know, like, the Freddys and the Jasons and the, like, Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, all those characters are white characters. Like, you've seen Jason's mom, she's a white lady, and you've seen Freddy, he's a white dude. You've seen them all. You've seen them all. They're all played by, they're all white, technically white characters. That doesn't matter. That doesn't make them any less iconic, but it does take away that there wasn't really an iconic black horror character. And black people have had such a unique time with the horror genre. They've really taken that on, and there's been so many black actors and whatnot in these horror movies over the decades. Some of the biggest horror movies of all time have a bunch of black actors in it. The original I can't remember if it was The Night of the Living Dead. A lot of people forget that movie was led by a black actor. So the zombie movie that revolutionized the zombie genre and made it what it is today was led by a black actor. So, like, black people have had a very interesting experience with the horror genre. Almost similar to how black people took on the kung fu and martial arts genre, like, really took it on, like, really were just like, they love this shit. I mean, you don't gotta look any further than, like, the RZA or, the Wu-Tang Clan to, like, you listen to half the Wu-Tang Clan's fucking music albums are just like kung fu references. You know what I mean? Like there are certain avenues that that black culture has really taken a liking to, and the horror genre is one of them. But standing alone as the singular iconic, like, individual, when you think of it, horror icon to black culture is the Candyman. It's very similar to that of Bloody Mary, and it's in that vein, and it's in that urban legend vein. There was a time in the early 2000s where they were just coming out with urban legend shit, like it was Bloody Mary and urban legend this and Hookman, and it was all I Know What You Did Last Summer. Remember, you guys remember all that stuff? I remember all that stuff. Some of those movies were pretty fucking bad. Like, I Know What You Did Last Summer, the original, wasn't terrible. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer was fucking awful. God, that movie was bad. And Jack Black is it. I'm going off a tangent. We're talking about the 2000 well, it's supposed to be 2019. This movie's been delayed about almost 2 years. So let's just say 2021. The 2021 Candyman. Now, the original Candyman was just as much of a horror movie as it was socially, what's the word I'm looking for? It had something to say socially about black people in the projects and about how, certain, I don't want to get too far into it here, but about the concept that America itself is trying to just erase some of the more gruesome and terrible things that happened in its past And literally, the idea of gentrification is literally building on top of the shit that you don't want to remember and just kind of pushing it to the side. Like, well, it's in a museum, or you can Google it, but like, we're not gonna we don't want to remember this terrible shit that happened. And the idea that America does that, and the Candyman technically represents the anger and rage and pain of black people in America, crammed down into this hook blood creature slash spirit slash whatever the hell you want to call him, who will murder anyone who says his name 5 times in a mirror. Fucking nuts. But yeah, and it's totally a play on the Bloody Mary story that's been around forever. That's been around forever. I'm curious if you know, when did that story start? When did that urban legend start? But it's a play on that. But there's a social commentary to it. But obviously, the original Candyman was horror first and social commentary second. Now, the new Candyman, this one, it's more in reverse. The commentary's first, for better or worse, and the horror's second. Now, I'm gonna just tell you this. When the horror's going, when it is going, it is creepy, it is intense, I'm telling you, when the horror gets going, I wasn't even eating my popcorn. I went there, didn't eat anything really most of the day, just so I could eat this popcorn, because I was like, I'm gonna chow down this popcorn, I'm gonna watch this film, I'll have a good time, or be scared shitless. And I was like, I wasn't so much scared as I was enthralled by the way they were going about the deaths. And the deaths just went differently in the way that you could only see him in the mirrors. So as far as you're so basically, if he's killing someone in a room, you don't see him. You just see somebody's body. It's just like, you don't know what the fuck's happening unless you see him in a mirror. So like the way they play with mirrors and the way, sometimes he's in the background. You don't even know. Sometimes he's right there. Like he's just like right here, just staring at you, I love that. Those parts are so creepy and so awesome and just so scary. Like creepy as fuck. Creepy as hell. I also really enjoyed all the actors in this. I never could say that dude's name. He was in the fucking Aquaman as Black Manta. I can never say that guy's names right because it's a long one. It's like a weird. It's a strange sounding one to me. He's been in a lot of stuff. He's gonna be in the Matrix, the new Matrix film. He was like I said, he was in Aquaman. He was in a couple stuff. He's been in a couple things. He was just in Watchmen as Dr. Manhattan. Yes, I know. Yeah, he was just in Watchmen as Dr. Manhattan. He's been in a lot of stuff. So like in my mind, I'm just thinking to myself, okay. So yeah, like I said, in my mind, I'm just like, this guy, like, he's a great actor. He's a great actor, and he's great in this. He's good in this. Like I said, there's a couple actors who have screen things. The one girl is in Tiana Paris, who in WandaVision, and who's in WandaVision. She's in this as his girlfriend. There's a couple actors in this that I recognize, but all in all, most of the actors in this are people I haven't really seen before. And the story is about well, I wish I could say fucking his name correctly, but the story's about this artist, and he's working on, and he goes back to the area where the whole Candyman thing took place. So this movie, by the way, I didn't know if it was. I thought this was going to be a soft reboot. Turns out it is a direct sequel to the original 1992, which I keep saying 1992 because I think it was 1992 Candyman. It's a direct sequel. It's not sort of a sequel. It's not kind of a sequel. It's not Suicide Squad where it's like, kind of. You look at it from the... No. This is a sequel. It's a sequel, direct sequel to that movie. This movie takes place like 20, maybe like 20, 25 years after the events of that original Candyman. And he's out here in that area because he wants to be inspired. He's an artist. He paints, and his girlfriend works at an art exhibit. Works at an art place, and he's an artist. And a lot of his paintings are really about black pain and about certain things like that. And he wanted to write about the Candyman story. And of course, just like the woman from the original Candyman, you go looking for shit, you find shit. You know what I mean? And that's generally the story. He went looking for inspiration. Unfortunately, he found the man. And there are some revelations in this movie. There are some things in this movie that really kind of are interesting and play up certain aspects of it. And the concept they play with, especially near the middle part of the movie, was a fascinating concept because it's a fascinating film. Unfortunately, it gets very bogged down in the message that it's trying to send. And I'm not saying that it's as blunt as a Spike Lee movie, because Spike Lee just smacks you. Spike Lee, and this is gonna sound bad, Spike Lee just smacks a white person in the face and say you should feel ashamed for for your skin. That's Spike Lee. It ain't that bad. It ain't Spike Lee like fuck you. Like Spike Lee's whole fucking art style, and especially when he's talking racial things, it's just like fuck you. Like that's Spike Lee's whole thing. He's just very brazen and just very bow right in the mouth. This isn't that. But it does at times come off a bit pushy, a bit preachy, and it is, and like I said, they really were more worried about getting their message across about not only gentrification, like the original and the black experience, but like the whole thing, they got a couple things with cops in this, near the tail end of the movie. Really, in the beginning, it was like, okay, I could buy that, but near the tail end, there's a sequence at the tail end it's just too much. It was just too much. Now, I want to give the movie a slight out because it is hinted, not said, but hinted that there have been so many bad things that have happened in this area. Something greeny, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but so many bad things happened in the area around the first movie for going back to old 100 years ago to slave time. So many bad things that happened in this area particularly that it thinned the barriers between our world and our world and reality and shit. So many bad things that happened that it thinned it. That there is a bit of a dairy from It vibe that how in It, if you do, how in It you feel like everyone in the town, all the adults in the town are just under a spell, they're just weird or they don't see things like you wonder how can this many people in this small town never have seen this creature in the sewers feasting on its youth, and you wonder why so many weird shit happens in this town and why so many people are kind of weird in this town, why the adults are weird in this town. And the idea out there is that the town itself, that the creature has been in the town so long that it's sort of eroding, it's sort of contaminated just the ambiance, the area, people are it's fucked with people's heads. So there is a bit of that in there. So there is a out to be well, the cops out here are a bit worse than normal cops because of this fucking area. But still, not to mention, it was noticeable to me, and I noticed shit like this. I noticed that no men were good in Birds of Prey. I noticed that, I noticed shit like that. And I also noticed in this movie that not a single black person was killed by Candyman. And you know what? It is what it is. It is what it is. Maybe, it's one of those things, because in the original Candyman, it was the main protagonist was a white woman, so it made sense that a bunch of black people got killed, because the whole idea was to frame her and to make it so that there's nowhere for her to go. But in this one, it's the opposite, so maybe, I don't know. But still, I did notice it. It was noticeable. It was noticeable, especially the bathroom scene, which was simultaneously one of the best sequences in the film. But I did notice the only person who didn't get killed was the black girl. Granted, the black girl was the only person who didn't say it. So, but it was, it is what it is. But I don't know, man. The social commentary did take a bit out of it. Not to mention, they did try to do a bit too much, especially near the tail end. They could have kept it a little bit more simple, and I don't know. Overall, the movie to me ended up being a slight disappointment. I ended up liking it a lot. I'm giving it a 7.5. So I still enjoyed myself. I still don't regret going there to see it, and there's stuff in this. The good outweighs the bad, but I did think it would be more. They really got bogged down on their social commentary to the point where it did take over. They did take over chunks of the movie. And not to mention, as much as, as much as I liked with some of the stuff they were doing, because there's some of the stuff I was doing, I was like, oh, that's fascinating. They did get a bit bogged down in some of the whole dynamics and some of the whole things that were going on. Certain aspects of the film, you're just like, I don't know if that makes a lick of sense, but okay. I don't know. Anyways, I enjoyed it, but, you know, I thought it would be better than what it was. But, you know, Nia DaCosta, but I will say this, Nia DaCosta directed this film, and she directed it fantastically. It's a beautiful looking film. That was the point 5, is that it's a beautiful looking film. It is shot beautifully. There are artistic decisions in it that look great. Some of the angles, some of the lighting, it is great looking, and the score is pretty good too. But like I said, there's just aspects in the film itself that does greatly take away from the effect of the film and take away from my enjoyment of the film. And that's coming from me, so you know it probably is. Like I said, sometimes, and I couldn't help myself, it does come off a little preachy. But it's okay. Anyways, thank you guys for joining the Cabrini Movie Show. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.